And I think this is really ultimately related to the expansion of the financial system as a whole, and the banking system quadrupled in size basically between 2008 and the present. And there was very little credit risk in most of those assets as it expanded. What's delivering an increase in corporate bond defaults, and what we think more defaults are probably on the way, is Beijing's deleveraging program, which has been very significant in its overall impact. Beijing's deleveraging campaign has really done two things. It's reduced the overall credit impulse in terms of overall bank asset growth has fallen from around 16% in 2016 when this started to just below 7% today, which is a very significant adjustment. But it's also, and I think more significantly for the corporate bond default story, redirected credit growth from corporates to households. Households are generally where you see stronger credit demand at present, which means that for the first time you have this very significant adjustment in the overall pace of credit growth in China. And as a result, you have corporates that are seeing declining access to working capital, which is why suddenly you're seeing corporate bond defaults emerge, because refinancing pressures, exactly as Lian Ting said, are becoming more acute.
But look, I mean, we often talk about this program, and you've been doing it for the last couple of years, that we're expecting suddenly there to be monumental amounts of defaults. We are getting some, but could that turn into something really much worse? And is it a systemic problem? Could it result in a systemic issue? That's the thing.
The issue is that if, with the growth of credit that's this rapid, you're never sure exactly where credit risk is going to show up. So we've seen roughly a $30 trillion expansion of bank assets between 2008 and the present, as I said. Now, the volume of defaults so far is pretty minor. We've counted just over 100 instances of default in the domestic bond market so far. But if you look at the rise in credit risk warnings, that's even more interesting. Many of the companies issuing credit risk warnings are exactly those that have been cut off by the informal banking system. Traditionally, loans placed from banks to non-bank financial institutions typically have a lot of property developers and local government financing vehicles.
But just Karen, a second, but hold that thought. I just want to bring this GTV chart up, which is, in essence shows bank lending to other financial firms dropping to one-year lows. Yes. That's probably indicative to some extent, isn't it?
That's exactly what's causing this decline in bank assets. You had growth of those interbank asset portfolios and claims on non-bank institutions, the quote-unquote shadow banking sector. That was responsible for as much as 9 trillion yuan in asset growth in 2015 and 2016. It was negative in 2017. And that is responsible for the overall pace of bank asset decline. This deleveraging campaign is not a scalpel, it is a sledgehammer in terms of how it is impacting Chinese corporate credit conditions. And we're starting to see that materialize within the corporate bond market.